to Gunnar Weiskamp's web development. Today we're going to start a new paragraph, lesson 1 on C Sharp. And what is C Sharp? We're going to start off nice and gently, some basics, build up on each lesson. So today learning about variables and your first app, creating your first app. So just a few comments on C Sharp. C Sharp is a language created by Microsoft. It can create web, desktop, console, and web services apps. That's just to name a few. C Sharp is heavily involved in inner mechanics of programs in many different ways. You can create what is also known as dynamic linked libraries. There are many other things that C Sharp can create. Windows communication, if you've heard about that technology, which is under web services. It's used in a plethora of processes. It was created around the C and C++ languages. Visual C++ was the first sort of IDE based around it, but then C Sharp came into its own and replaced those sort of processes. You can still write just C++ and C, but Visual C++, well, I don't think you can find it anymore. C Sharp first appeared around the year 2000 as well. So how do you write C Sharp? Well, you use Visual Studio to create apps written in C Sharp. I'm assuming some people here are quite new to this, so I'm just mentioning Visual Studio is a software also created by Microsoft which allows you to write programs, and C Sharp is written within that. Where can I download Visual Studio? I'll show you that in 2 seconds. Our first app will be a console app, and we will learn about variables, starting off nice and gently. So if we, where you can download Visual Studio is right here at Microsoft. You can get this Visual Studio Community Edition that's now 2017, so things have evolved. I'm going to be using 2013, but the lessons you can do also in this one. So if you download this one, you'll be able to still do my lesson. The only reason I'm using 2013, it seems to be running quicker on my machine rather than the latest and greatest. That's technology for you. So that's where you can download it, get this guy, and then you'll be able to do this tutorial. So yes, once you've downloaded the software, if you want to create the next interface that you're about to see, just open up Visual Studio, then go to the File menu at the left, click on New, Project, make sure your framework is correct there. That's quite an important process. This guy here is selected Visual C Sharp, and we're going to create a console app, as I mentioned. And then you just click OK. You can put that in any folder that you want down here. That does not really matter. Oops, I was click. Whoa, see. Okay, no more clicking. Right. Let's bring up our interface here. So here we have our console app. Nice and clean, pretty simple, straightforward. Let's first look at our code here. So this class program, this is the first. This will hold everything within your application. You might ask what a class is, and that's a valid question, and I will cover that at a later stage, but very soon. So this here is called when the application starts, and it looks for anything within inside it. And inside it's got this function here called static void main. So this guy will be called. I'm not going to get into all the specific of what the parameters are in here. It's not really relevant at this stage. But when this function fires up, we'll see it'll go in here and hit our code and do our magic. Over on your right, you've got an empty interface. We will also talk about this reference process attribute in a very up-and-coming lesson, because I think that's quite important. App config, you can configure things with these files. I won't harp on too much about it. Just say you're creating an email app, you can put things in here like the hard-coded email, and then you would draw that information out from there, and it would use that. Rather than hard-coding things in your actual code, you can hard-code things in a config file. That's the logic of config files. That's all I'm going to go on about right now, because I'm just going to try to stay on message and talk a little bit about variables. So I have created some code here. We're really just going to cover the basics here, just to get you going. If you're brand new, this is the first thing you've ever done, you can't go wrong with this tutorial. It's quite straightforward, but also important, because if you're going to be coding a lot in C#, you'll be using a lot of these variables over and over again. I will just add another one in there. Can't believe we missed old char. Variable equals A. Okay, that should be fine. Oh, and we will display him as well. So within these variables, you can do a lot of magic and do a lot of programming with in the future. So the first one here, int. What is this guy? This means that this tells you what type of value you're going to hold. So this is an int. This is your variable name. That can be whatever you want to call it. Call it like that. But normally try to keep it descriptive. In this case, I've called it my number. So that's your variable name, and that's what the variable is going to hold, if you want to look at it like that. Int means it can only ever hold a number, a whole number. If we try to put a decimal number in there, you'll get this big red line come up and saying, "Ooh, I don't like that," because it cannot hold a decimal value. If you try to put a letter in there, you'll get a big dirty error come up. Yeah, it doesn't like that because it can't hold. Oh, sorry, no, this is a string actually. This is what is called a string. We will talk about that in a second. It can't hold like a sentence like that. So it can only hold a number. The next one is called a double. This is used to, and this is again, it's just its name, again, can be anything. This is used to hold decimal values. So in this case, that can hold that. If we try to put this guy here, we try to get sort of a string in there, you can see it does not like that. You can't do it. So this is used to hold certain decimal values like that. The next one we call string, and it can hold what is called a text value. In this case, just the word hello. It can hold many long string. Hello world. Let's keep up with tradition, hey? The decimal, it is somewhat different than the double. I'm not going to go into that too much now. I just want you to be aware of it, that it's out there. But yeah, the decimal can be out there as well. And you can define how many decimal points that you want to store. The next guy down here is a char, and he can only hold one character. See, doesn't like that. So only one character, a letter, and also you'll notice he has to have a single parenthesis, a single quote around it rather than a string. Here it's got a double quote character. So important difference. A string here has to be enclosed in double quotes. A char value has to be enclosed in a single quote. So a bit of a distinction there. Right, we're just going to use this logic here. All this does is going to write our outputs to the screen so we can see the magic happen. That's what console write line does. It just writes your variable to the screen. So we're showing each variable here in our console app. The read line, that will allow us it'll hold still. Once we click enter on the console app, it will then close because of the read line. But let's press F5. It's coming up. And so there we can see, our 3 come up, 2.2, hello world, etc., all come up nicely. Right, briefly, while we are on the discussion of variables, we'll play a little bit around with them. So my number equals my number plus 2. What we'll do is we'll put this guy down here so we can see the difference. Our string, let's do something, a little bit of magic with him. Hello world. Equals string plus hope you're enjoying this tute. Oops, no, not tug. I hope you're enjoying this tute. Okay, live demos, aren't they great? Right. So anyway, so what is this doing? Let's just show them on the screen as well. Just a quick copy and paste. So, okay, what are these guys doing? All you're doing here is you've got this number in here where it's number 3. And with this little comment here, you're going to add 2 to the current value, which is 3. So coming up on the screen, it'll be 5. Really simple stuff. What we're doing here is we're going to add, put in this a new value. We're going to add whatever's in here, plus we're going to add this string onto it. It's called string concatenation. So we're just adding another piece of string onto it. So what you'll see is hello world, hope you're enjoying this tute. Let's put a full stop there, hope you're enjoying this tute. So really simple stuff. Okay, there we go. So you can already see programming at work, and the amazing thing of the way variables can be changed in your program, and things that can come up. So what I mean by changed, you can have something here at a certain value and then you can change it later on in your program. So 3 plus 2 equals 5, and we can see that here, and our new string here, hope you're enjoying this tute. So okay, so the next step is, I think it would be a good idea to explain more about namespaces and classes, because they are here in our frame, and then talk about references. So in the next one we are going to jump in and talk about namespaces, and in doing that it'll explain what using is. So yes, that was it for today on variables. I hope you can join me for the next one where we talk about the namespaces, and might touch on a little bit about classes, but that probably will be its own tute. Okay, hope you have a good day and see you next time.